Chapter 4, we're gonna call meeting to order at 4:01. So roll call, Dave.
Here.
Robert, I don't see Robert. Brent here, Carol, I don't see Carol. John. Yo. Norm, present, Bill.
Yeah.
You don't see Christine, Todd. Here. Pete, don't see Pete and Tracy.
Here.
Okay. So the first agenda is approval of the minutes for the last meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. The motion is second, all in favor, say.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, financial report, Tim,
No change.
no change. Any comments submitted before the meeting? Nope. Okay, so now we're back down to the Birch Bay project. The property discussion. Have you made any more, I guess, communications with anybody?
It doesn't look promising.
Okay.
I'll just say it like that.
Okay.
He basically leases it out and so just anybody who grows sorghum or whatever's hot that season and gives them back the money and he says it covers the taxes on it. He said, so, cause I don't really use it. They said they won't sell it. It's gonna remain in the Whiteler name forever,
Okay.
as far as he's concerned.
Let's,
Okay.
Yeah, I said they've owned it since 1860, and so they're gonna keep it the family, which is totally understandable and respectful.
Get paid to lease it, I guess, why not?
Yeah. And the guy that rents it does like no-till organic, so us dumping stuff on it wasn't terribly appealing for his interest in the matter.
Okay.
I did reach out to Mally. They did say that they would plan to do it in the fall, not the spring. So, and then if we did have a nearer site, it would be something that would be worth them looking at to see if it would impact their price going down, yeah. So
Did they talk about the fall being any kind of premium as far as?
that's the price that's what they planning to do it in the fall, they were planning to do it in the spring.
I think most of them did, but it didn't hurt to ask the question. Okay, so that pretty much brings us down to the three numbers we had. The three bottom numbers, as far as I'm concerned, are all realistic quotes.
Well, Savin is hydraulic.
Correct. So I mean, he could potentially do it in the summer, but you know, his number is higher.
It's higher.
His placement of the, recovery pond is where we put the storage space in, the new storage area.
Okay.
He wants to take that out and make that a pit,
That's not gonna happen.
and that can't happen. Okay, so,
And he also wanted to close Birch Bay for June, July, and August, is what the bid had.
That doesn't sound like it.
That would screw up a lot of boats.
That's,
He's not the low bidder either.
No, but I mean, it was, if it was something he could do sooner, but then Tim and I have also talked about, you know, that would affect, the extra funds would affect what we could do the following year, so.
full disclosure, George and I talked, this morning, yesterday about some of this too, and said, it might be worth looking at, since it's gonna be a fall project, it looks like. I mean, the weather's up there right now, it's 60 degrees in February. The lake's not coming back down, folks, but we just gotta accept that reality. Would it be in our interest to work on perhaps splitting the river project up into two different permits and having Mally dig out around the boat launch and the dock spaces in the fall when they're out here doing Birch? That would get us, I think, political points in that neighborhood that, right out the gate, we're doing stuff at the river.
I think, yeah, I'm not, judging by the numbers we have in front of us, I think it would be cheaper to mechanically dredge as much as we can, however far out he can go.
Yeah.
Whether it's a long reach or maybe he cleans up some that he gets
Yeah.
equipment out there, I'm not positive what he's able to do. But it has to be per cubic yard, I would think cheaper than
Yeah.
hydraulic.
Yeah, if we could work on that, you know, fall, spring and summer, try and get, you know, a permit in that range and, you know, something like that.
Well, if we did it that way, I calculate that to be about 14,000 cubic yards in total, which is your red plow, which would go to
Yeah,
Lansing
anything
or
over 10.
possibly Chicago, who knows? And the time that it takes to get that back, don't know that either. But if we were to do, you know, the long reach along the seawall, south and north of the boat launch, and run that equipment out far enough to open that island that's extending, forming down, to have a channel to get into the slips.
Yep.
I think that'd go a long way, and then turn around and do the rest
Mhm.
hydraulic.
Yeah.
And then open up the north end where the land bridge is formed, mechanical, once the
I think,
hydraulic's done.
I think if you. I don't know, but I think if you do, what you can do. Let's say in the fall of 25 or spring, wherever you want, whatever that timeline works. Maybe he finds out that he did half of that and cleaned up that bottom and he has some type of hard pan there. He might be able to do the whole thing the next year, the rest of it.
If it's down low enough. and
That'll at least expose what's there and give him the information he would need to say, either it can or it cannot.
You may be able to walk in there in the
You know,
fall.
you won't know until you get it out of there.
I've walked in it.
You haven't walked out in all of it, I mean, you don't know where the bottom's at.
I know, I couldn't touch it.
But I'm saying, once he pulls that out, you might find something solid.
Yeah,
I mean, if he can reach out 60 foot with his excavator, and then he cleans that out, he can go under the 30 foot, then.
Well, you'd have to have some kind of a,
I'm sure it would matter some type.
yeah, you'd have to have something out there to keep the water from backfilling in where he's working.
Yeah.
That's copper dams or something, yeah.
But I mean, he could run a sheet pylon down, but then if he had to and pull back out.
You're saying all that, if you did clean up Birch or Riviera, can you access that currently from down the river, or is that too shallow in there to even do that? Because the last time I was up there,
It's too shallow.
you couldn't get near it.
It's about that deep.
You're gonna change the flow of that, I think, when you start counting that.
Oh, yeah,
Well, let's look
you
here.
start carving it out.
So are you saying that you want to extend his contract out farther, or do you wanna have that back out for bids again?
Well, what I'm suggesting is because of the volume, this is, I was leading into that, because of the volume, that's the red file thing. If we do it in two pieces, it's 7/7.
Correct,
We stay underneath that.
what I'm trying to clarify is, you said Miley could go again and go to the next phase, the next project. But I think, what I'm saying is it
You have
should
to
be bid on again.
again. You have to bid it again. You can't just say, you did a good job here. Well, award you.
No, it has to be bid again. Yeah, and I agree with that.
The other problem we have, you know, the state is gonna allow us.
Because what we'd have to do is write the permit to say, take out 20 feet for 250 feet.
I would say you don't need to bid it again. If you have a bid approved to do Birch Bay and you wanna see if you can clean that up from shore, and he'll give you the same price. Or a better price, cause the stuff's already here, or you're not getting mobilization twice.
Maybe if he knows he's got the other one, he can do us a little better on the first one.
But it's not gonna change the first one.
No, he's not gonna change the first one. But I mean, right there is Riviera, and you've got a channel that's got a little bit of water in it, probably about 30 feet.
This is the river way over
Yeah.
here. So this is going south, these are all slips.
Yeah, there's 3-4 feet of muck there.
And then coming north too.
How far, George, from that seawall to that river that's out, I mean, you can see some water, some standing water and some more debris, more dirt.
If, this is that secondary island I was
Right,
talking
so
about.
from that island back to the seawall, how far is that roughly?
About 70 feet, 80 feet.
From out here, coming back in.
It makes some pretty.
So if we, and you're right, Ken, this is really
Yeah,
thick stuff. And we got about this much water and about.
I might have an
this much,
aerial I
you
can
know,
grab when we look here.
And so if we clean that out and make a channel out there to get in and out of it,
He's out of the game, I think.
And we could even mark it with the orange driveway markers or some kind of a marker where people know how to get in and out for now. Have Savin come in and do the hydraulic on the remaining balance, 7,000 yards or something approximate. And then the north end would need to be mechanical also. Because this is where that land bridge is, right
Way
here.
up there, yeah.
And man, it's all, you can stomp on it, you stomp hard enough, you go through, but you can't hydraulic it. It's not underwater. And so that has to be cleaned up, not only there, but north, because it's all filled in with gravel. So we want to direct that flow back on our side of that island,
Correct.
but we need it all cleaned up south
But
of it.
we're still not sure the state's gonna let us break things up into separate projects because
No,
of the dialogue that's on the permits.
well, that is that dialogue that says, have any other project been done in this area?
And that's why I suggested
Yes.
putting South Park in ASAP, so we get that determination as soon as we're far or
Or
something.
bar or something, yeah.
But Park, South Park, with a little water, we could go in there with a dozer and push it up next to the bank and scoop it out.
Yeah.
Fairly expeditiously.
I don't think you can't get a truck to it. You can't get a dump truck to load it because it's way too soft in there.
So you don't think there's an issue having two active permits at one time for different, one for
Well, they're good
birch
for
and
5 years
one
at a pop.
That's what we don't know yet.
We're concerned about them adding it together.
All we really know, Norm, is that they're good for 5 years. Because the exact term is at this location on the permit.
We may be able to get.
Are they talking about Lake Isabella? Or are they talking about Birch Park? Park, South Park.
Did Brian have any recommendations about that?
I did not ask him.
We may be able to get away with it once because one's lake and one's river, but. Or about that.
They're all lake, right? Because I wouldn't be messing around with the flow of the river. Because.
No, don't say that.
There's a certain fellow that got put in jail.
Yeah, but now they're gonna judge it again anyway, after
He
they find.
he
it, they're gonna-
diverted the river and he got put in jail.
You guys, not anymore, they're gonna dredge it now. They just changed that around last week. It's done the same I've ever seen.
It comes with some
Tried to throw a guy in jail with.
Well, Bill?
Now we're gonna dredge it.
Bill, the problem with that is my name is on that permit.
That's right.
Right on the top.
This river,
We know what's.
this river here is considered lake where you wanna take that land.
That is correct.
Yes.
We know what,
It's
that's
considered
serious, it's like,
That's-
The river,
That's not
the
a
river
that's a
starts,
lake.
it ends north of there about probably 300 feet.
Well, regardless, if I agree that mechanical dredge for what we can get to the river makes sense to me. Whether or not they can get a permit for more than one at one time is another question, but that's not. That's not a break.
Well, I think if we're able to do it mechanically, I think get that one done. Before we open up the second one there, I think we will appease those folks and we can move, honestly, boats that are off the main body in there that people live
No,
back there.
I'm in favor of going there next, I'm just saying,
But we would be able to push that off another year possibly, so this one's done before we open the second one.
you
Well,
can't, you can't.
You can't do that.
you can't-
You can't do that because it's open for 5 years.
Do that or you're gonna be skipping.
Yep,
You can't add this to your permit now, so you're gonna have both separate permit.
Bingo.
yes. Of course,
now,
yes.
we don't know if the state's gonna call it a separate permit or it's all under the same project.
One way to find out, because we're gonna have to do it 10 times.
Yeah.
So we need to get it done.
Might as well have it now.
I would say if the board's recommendation is to take the low bid with Malley, which makes sense to me. I mean, they're not, they don't have a bad reputation, they're right there with our Creek in numbers, and I think it was a fair quote,
And they had planned to do it before anyway.
yeah. So, I mean, I think
I'd entertain a motion to award the bid to Malley Construction.
that's kind of where I'm, and then get that project.
I'll second that.
So I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor to award to Malley, say aye.
Aye.
No, I don't see any opposition, so that motion would pass. I don't think it's a bad idea to try to maybe move from one to the other. Permit wise, if it's available.
How do you know Mally's wouldn't be able to just do all that?
I don't.
I know.
Greg.
I mean, if they're getting out, they're taking excavators out in the middle of Birch Bay, they could probably figure out.
Well, see, that's the difference. There's so much silt here, so much mud,
But it's gotta go.
and,
You're not allowed to have your heart, man.
But then the water's.
but Connor said, there's no equipment that you can take out there. He said, I can't go out there. He said, I can do right in front of your car.
That's not necessarily true, George.
Well,
We're speculating not being excavators. Let's let the excavators make that decision.
I've seen
Sure.
it.
I'm just telling you what
I've seen it
Connor told me.
from Floats before, I mean, anything's possible.
You know, the difference from what I've seen is that there's a lot more organic there
Yeah.
than birch. It's,
Yep.
you know, birch is more sand and,
I agree with that.
you know, where this is probably the best photo I got of it. It's from Brent's drone, but you can see the mound kind of in here. I mean, they could clean out at least to that part, and now you've got that open, you got the boat launch open,
I think that would improve it.
or they can clean out to here and then they can clean out to
Where
there.
your wrist is, can they get to that so we can get out here from the river? From the south?
Why do you think that is?
I don't think, judging by this, I think you'd probably got a good 2 feet of water right through here still.
Do you
This
think,
one
it
had 50 feet by 300.
would- you think it would open itself up? if you did that?
Low ground pressure for.
That's what I think, flush a lot.
Yeah.
Things can do stuff.
Water can really move.
I think especially if we can, if they're out there and they can
It'll
cut,
stop somewhere.
if they can get to here, this is gonna flush out.
Yes, it is.
What's,
Probably.
well, if they can open this up
Yeah,
Where the water's
on
running.
this side, yeah.
yeah.
If they open it up here, then they'll flush all this.
Like having, if you bring up a Savage, they're still gonna have all their setup and multiple stations, and pipes in, like that's
a big cost.
that's their biggest cost, so I mean,
See, that's why I
Like,
want to
look
get
at
all
this
that out of
they're
there.
moving
Flush
dirt
it down.
at $15 a yard.
Any worse.
So if we're already gonna set our pipes up
So
and
you
have
got the
them
big-
hydraulically dredged,
The mud flats.
$15 a yard to remove
West
that extra
side.
muck isn't really,
And they're.
you know, Valley does it for $15 a yard, you know, we're not saving any money. I bet.
Where's that little finger of land that we had down there with water behind it? Larry, you and I were down there one time, when we were looking at. It's between that island and the dry land. There's a little finger sticking down there.
Yeah, that's the land bridge.
Behind it.
That's the land bridge.
That's the land
bridge.
bridge.
Stops them.
That's what, that's what will need to be mechanically taken out after it's all cleaned south of it, I think.
Remember I said we could throw the water, dirt out of that
Standard 3.
channel in behind this thing.
Yeah, it's not any weird sticks. You put a big stick on.
And that was
Managed to have managed.
basically, it still leave the homeowners to the water's edge.
Suggested.
And we just moved
I
back
can't stay.
15 feet.
Well,
What do you think about having Mally come look at this?
I can't hear.
What do you think about having Mally come look at this as a project to see what, while it's down, well, it's kind of up still now, but just so he could see it in the stages he thinks it could be.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if we.
Somebody was smarter than us,
Invite
though.
Valley and Hart Creek both. I mean, they're both, to me, they're both within pennies of each other. They're both so far are most qualified
Our
numbers.
bid from Savin to do this in its entirety was $356
So that was what, how many years ago?
last year, year before.
Year before
Somewhere in
last.
And we're basing that on 14,000.
Mhm.
So I'm not opposed to having all three of them look at it again and saying this. We have this project for Birch Bay figured out. We're hopefully going to have some funds available to start this other project, or we may even do it in 2 phases. Possibly at the same time, because it's a year down the road before you even start.
Correct.
We may be able to have two projects going at one time. This project now is off the table. Everybody bid it fair and square. We have a little better, we have already made a motion, we've already approved it. We have another location for the same, potentially the same timeline in 24, fall of 24. Mally might say to himself internally, my equipment will be here. He may have an advantage to that. If he does, he does. He doesn't, he doesn't. But if somebody else can get a lower number, I don't want to pigeonhole
Correct.
ourselves and saying Mally just gets to go over there when I can possibly get a lower number from somebody else. Maybe I can't, but we owe it to the public to ask that question.
That's true. I understand that.
Well, here's the other thing that worries me, if we're doing 9,000 cubic yards at 200 plus grand. And we go over Peninsula, which has 10 times that, I don't want to end up spending $2 million over there.
So you're not gonna have one.
You're not gonna have
It's change.
Well, that, I mean, we knew that, like, the different yardages were gonna be different, cause at Birch Bay, we're trucking it 5 miles versus 1 mile, like, you know, they do the math, $200 an hour per truck, they're probably gonna have 6 trucks running here versus 2 over there.
The larger the square foot, the cheaper the square foot. It's just,
In a vertical.
that's so far down the road, it's not worth talking about. But I mean, I don't have no problem with that. If you want to try to schedule, even if it's an informal meeting, we can look at it and say,
Right, right.
Could you even bid this? Like Mally's, was it be something that you could even bid? Or is it gonna be a hydraulic thing only?
And I would
at least it
also,
gives you the answer.
I would also expedite the permits, so we know where the state's head is at. Cause you don't wanna get caught blindsided, having them telling you yin when you mean yang.
Well, it's all hypothetical, but I don't mean, I go to a lot of jobs that are budgets, and I look at budget projects for customers, and my job is, if I want that, at least I'm in the ground floor, I can have conversations and come up with ideas and thoughts, so I mean, I don't think the contractors would have a hard time taking an hour out of the day to look at it. So if we wanna send out another informal meet and look at it, I think that's a good idea.
Just to the three? Or anybody?
You can kind of anybody, I guess, but I'll just breathe, I mean, obviously the other people didn't really want it, I mean, it's 725,000, the guy from Wisconsin, he just wants to be on the bid list.
Yeah.
You know, Isabel was up there too, I mean, maybe that's their number. But
Yeah, I would just do those 3, quite frankly, at this point in time.
it gives you
Yeah.
3 numbers, which is what you need for your,
Gives you
different styles.
give you quicker responses too.
so I don't know who wants to reach out or when you want to try to do it, but we're running, I mean, the lake could be filled up in 2 weeks, so it will be pretty quick.
It could be filled up.
Well, it's supposed to rain.
By next Wednesday, but I'm saying it's worth it.
Be nice to know if Mally's say no, we wouldn't be able to bid this at all. At least maybe we could look for a couple more hydraulic dredging companies
Yeah.
too. You know, if we know mechanical's off the table.
Yeah.
Then we can broaden our search for hydraulic dredgers.
Correct.
I don't think that'd be a bad idea to bring Hardcrete and just Mally. We know Savin can do it.
Yeah. that's
You know
fair.
about roughly with their prices too.
Now, if we pull out half of it with a bucket, then they're gonna. The price may change. They're gonna renegotiate the dredging that's left.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was, talking to Todd over here that if you look at Savin's bid, it costs so much to set up the hydraulic dredge that actually moving the extra dirt, I don't know that removing 7,000 extra yards is really gonna save us that much money.
Yeah.
Cause like on their quote, it shows your setup fees and all that, and then they're dredging for, $15 a yard.
Yeah.
You know, so if we're already paying them to set up their pipes, $15 a yard's not that bad, so. You know, if Mally's saying no, I'm guessing they're either gonna say, yeah, we can do the whole thing, or no, we're not gonna do any of it.
What if they say they can do the whole thing and part A and part B is more than what Savin was for the entire thing?
Right,
That's foolish.
Right. Foolish,
Right.
but it gives you,
but I don't think anybody cares
it's at least a budgeting tool.
if it's hydro or mechanical.
So let's see if we can have them meet. I don't care if we meet this Friday or early next week, let's try to get that done.
Well, it's supposed to rain on the 28th, and pretty soon we're gonna have to start shutting the gate. So I would expedite.
Okay, I don't, is that something you can reach out to, Tim? Like,
Yeah, and
see, I mean, probably all of us won't be able to go there. for that meet and greet, it's a fast track thing, but whoever can go, great, and then that gives us a baseline. I don't really have any other discussions on First Bay unless anybody else does.
Well, first day as soon as possible, that's all.
Okay, well, we got two members of the public here. Anybody have any questions or thoughts you want to address the board with?
I have a question on Riviera Road. At one time, we were talking about dredging some of the bay or some of the dock areas out. And stashing the spoils on the north side of Riviera Park in kind of a berm type fashion with appropriate silk fences and that kind of stuff.
Well, that could be incorporated into the questions we talked about. I mean, that could, but I'm not sure how many yards it is. It's gonna be a small amount, so it's not gonna change the price at all, but I don't see why they would have objections to placing some in the park, and it's just easy for them. I'm sure they'll all agree to that. Whether it saves us any money or not, I don't know.
It's a permanent spot if it has to be moved.
Right.
There's a lot of land up there behind that down the hill, kind of.
Okay,
Where it
so
meets the eye.
that kind of brings us to our next. Or any necessary discussion or the next meeting date, we have a meeting with a couple of contractors. How soon do we want to meet after that? Meet and greet.
We know something.
We got time.
We got tons of time on
We
that.
can, yeah, we're not gonna do it for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
We're just trying to be in a hurry because the water's coming up.
So we could have that meeting and send out an email encompassing what we all talked about and what the contractors thought. That could be done by email. So do you want to have a meeting in a month, or do you see a need to have a meeting in a month? We're not really looking at doing anything for
We gotta get,
8 months from now.
you wanna get the permit process going. You
Permit
don't wanna wait-
process
You don't
is-
wanna wait till June.
Yeah.
Permit process
Get that
is
going.
critical
Get it
because
done.
we don't have enough answers from from Eagle to.
I think you might want to call Ryan and say, hey, if I was just having different location. Are they gonna try to force them into one and then it goes to the red line committee? Whereas because it's a small area here and then another small area here, are those going to be separate permits for the same body of water? I guess.
Bottom line is permits are good for 5 years, and we're not gonna sit on this project without doing anything for 5 years.
It doesn't matter the timeline, it just matters whether or not they're gonna force us to the next plateau of permitting. So I think you should start there, George, find out what his thoughts are, and if he has any history of that type of scenarios. So then maybe we need to finish one and then apply for one, finish one, and then apply for one, that's his recommendation.
Exactly what I was wondering.
That
We don't know
that may
that
be what he tells
But
us.
it's still, and that's what I was talking about earlier, but that permit is still open for the 5 years.
But if he does First Bay in November of next year, we can close that permit. As soon as he's done, have it
Is there
sent in.
this-
Or does the permit get closed? After we
I think you
proceed
just,
with our
you
project?
just tell them the work is done, but it's not closed, because you have 5 years to go back and do, just like on the boat launch. The permit's good for 5 years. We can go in and do anything we want to for next 3 now, but.
I wonder if that makes a difference too, that the project is completed, even though that permit couldn't be addressed.
I know
Let me
a
ask
lot
you
of
this, if it gets dredged, let's say First Bay is dredged in November. And for some unknown reason, you want to dredge it again in year 5. Do you have to test that again?
no, the test results are good for 10 years.
There's no reason to set on those permits.
No.
Get them-
Test results are good for 10, permits are good for 5.
And see what Brian says, like that's where we go next to find out, if this is gonna move us to the bigger permit phase where it leaves the state, goes to somebody that bends, and then they got a bigger project, because if it's gonna cause us to go to there, with adding one more bay, you might as well have them all at one time and get done with it.
So, yeah,
I mean, if that's what, honestly, if that's what's gonna happen,
yeah,
if they're gonna move each of that.
they're gonna blend it into one, yeah.
You might as well just do it, be done. Once you cross that line, I don't think it comes back down, so you might as well just put them all in there. If that's his experience doing this. So hypothetical.
One big commitment, man. The whole.
We did.
We got like Rachel, we have been there, they're not for what the age, you know, it's a big job.
Yeah, but that's what I'm going to, different areas.
So.
If he's gonna consider water body and water just one permit,
Big, right.
he might as well. If it's gonna cause that, that's bigger than just. There's an end up.
That doesn't matter.
As long as it doesn't know what you want, we have.
Yeah, so whatever.
Just if you follow the logic of what was said. Somewhere, somebody is doing two projects simultaneously on the same body of water. They're not waiting the next 5 years for this project.
Correct.
With permit and the DEQ issues in the next one.
Correct, that's why I say Brian should have,
You're
it should be case.
I know what I'm assuming.
assuming logic takes a hold here, so.
Well, I know.
There's a lot of bays in like Huron, Lake Michigan.
Well,
So that's one body of water in a lot of different locations.
See, I think those bays, the main bodies here are in a different category, the more on the federal side. So they're probably always dealing with it, and those permits probably never close. Because even if I've got a 5-year permit and I can have it reissued, re-upped, if you will, to keep it open too. So, I'm sure that's probably what they do for those channels, you know, for the ships and everything, they just keep them open.
The other thing you're concerned is what longer you wait to get permits, the more damn rules are gonna pass.
Okay, so if we get some information from Brian and from the contractors. Let's look at a calendar.
Jim, I gotta go, but you wanna set up the contractor meeting? I'm not gonna be here Friday,
I'm not either, so.
okay,
I can,
and then I'll get a hold of Brian tomorrow, and I'll send a note out to everybody.
I've got a 1 o'clock on Friday, other than that, I can be contractors.
We'll let the dog then.
Sounds like Friday's not a good deal.
Yeah, well, George and I are out on Friday.
What about Saturday?
Yeah, basketball.
Can't afford Tim's overtime.
You say you saw me plowing, what was that, Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was putting salt down.
We'll see what they can do work-wise, like I said, if you guys could make it, somebody else could, it's not,
Yeah.
not an actual contract meeting, it's just a. For them to ask questions, and we can relay questions back to you guys and answer them next week, so. If they wanted to meet Friday, I would be in there. I mean, basically, all we're doing is looking at the project and. See what they can see before it gets flooded again. Or Monday. So Bill's available, I'm available.
What time are you thinking Friday?
I don't know, I haven't talked to anyone, they may not be available, it's, it's already Wednesday night,
So it is already.
so. See what they wanna do, even if they wanna come at separate times, that Joe wants to come one day and Molly wants to come one day. It's not like it's. A practice of one.
Yeah, that may be easiest, just try and set up individually.
That's fine.
That's,
I'm sure that we can get a number of people to be available on certain days, might not always be the same people, but we can make it happen. Because we're pressed for time before the water comes up. Even if we don't open the gate, it's still gonna come up,
Are we talking about this week yet?
hopefully.
Fast as you can.
Tim, do you have Joe's cell phone?
no. I probably do want a permit somewhere.
I think I got his in here.
So. You have a timeline, Tim, you're thinking for March, for a meeting?
Well, March is an incredibly busy month. The 20th is open in my calendar, the 6th, 13th are not, 27th is the spring break week. But I'm gone the 6th and the 13th, and the 5th and the 12th, and the 19th and the 21st.
9959.
5543 is Joe's cell. And it's 646.
He gave you the wrong one.
That's not it, it's 9959230.
He gave you the wrong one purposely.
Of course it's.
That might be his office number.
That code is there, but I got Hard Creek Joe, 644-55.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
office.
the office. Yeah.
So whenever Beal's out of school.
330.
I'll be out of
Yeah.
town.
22nd.
That's the 22nd, so we can meet the 20th. What, time we set a meeting for the 20th?
Sure.
I can make it.
Can we do the Tuesday instead?
I'm available the 19th.
Cause we got, probably have a village or, council meeting on the 19th.
Yeah.
I think my wife's staff meetings are the third Wednesday of the month.
Ah,
That what today is, she's got a staff meeting today.
I got Steve's cell number. Got Steve.
Yeah, Steve's, the truck driver.
19th.
His brother's.
19th 's fine with me, yeah.
Okay,
The 19th
I
at
don't
4
need
PM,
Steve's.
3:19.
I think I have Steve's actually.
19th at 4.
19th at 4.
Oh, you guys are magician.
Okay, any other, comments, concerns, discussions? Anybody? Okay, 4:40.